Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradari Yashoda Nandana Brajajana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Tagore Premanandi Aditabo Dadashi Radhe Sham Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Hare Krishna. It's been a while, my friends, but I'm back. And I'm better than ever. Yeah, baby. Okay. So if you guys don't know me, if you don't know who I am, my name is Dan, and I used to be a monk. I was a monk for 10 years. I was a Hare Krishna monk for 10 years. Okay. But then, I decided I wanted to move on. I had other things I want to do with my life. And, now I'm known as a 7-figure monk. Why? Because I have a business. I help people make money online too. Because money is important. Like, even if you want to, just from my personal experience, like, when I was a monk for all the years, if I would have had more money, I would have been able to do more stuff. Like, I would have been able to feed more people. I would have been able to just organize better and better events. So, everything is Krishna's energy, right? Everything's God's energy. So you got to use everything in the service of God. So when I make money with my business, not only do I use that to support myself, but I support the Hare Krishna movement. I give donations with my money. That's pretty much what I do. Like, I use like it says in the scriptures, you should give away 50% of your income. I mean, honestly, I'm not giving away 50% of my income yet, but I'm working my way up there. But I do give donations when I can to the Hare Krishna movement. That's what I donate to, because I understand, like, there's not a lack of, there's not a lack of anything in this world. There's just a lack of Krishna consciousness, just like Srila Prabhupada said, right? So let's get into this Bhagavad Gita. I'm going to read from the Bhagavad, not the Gita, Bhagavad Gita, the Srimad Bhagavatam. Okay, let's read from it. So Vyasa Uvacha Bhikshubir Vipravasite Vijnana Deshtribhistava Vartamano Vayasyadye Tatakim Akarod Bhavan. Sri Vyasadeva said, "What did you, Narada, do after the departure of the great sages who had instructed you in scientific transcendental knowledge before the beginning of your present birth?" So the way I like to do, like, Bhagavatam, I just like read and I talk. Okay, I don't do like super structured. I just read and talk based on my realizations from reading the scriptures. Like, I chant every day, I read every day. And I was a monk for 10 years. And what was my main service as a monk? I did some book distribution, and I also did some Harinam Sankirtan. Like, my favorite is, the public chanting and dancing. That's my favorite. And, like, Srila Haridas Thakur says, like, that's the most spiritual activity you can do, is public chanting and dancing. So I like to focus on what's the best. That's why I did that. And I had fun. I had fun doing that, even though, I didn't get along with all their Hare Krishnas, because we're humans, right? Not everyone sees eye to eye. Okay, but I love Harinam Sankirtan, still do. Vyasadeva himself was the disciple of Naradaji, and therefore it was natural to be anxious to hear what Narada did after initiation from the spiritual masters. He wanted to follow Narada's footsteps in order to attain the same perfect stage of life. This desire to inquire from the spiritual master is an essential factor to the progressive path. This process is technically known as Saddharma Pricha. Okay, text 3. Swayambhuva. Oh, wait, I kind of like spaced out. Let me read that again. Vyasadeva himself was a disciple of Naradaji. Therefore, it was natural to be anxious to hear what Narada did after initiation from the spiritual masters. He wanted to follow Narada's footsteps in order to attain the same perfect stage of life. That's what you got to do. You got to follow the footsteps of the great souls like me. No, just kidding. No, I'm a pretty good soul. But I'm not like I wouldn't say I'm the number one spiritual master that you should follow. I'm not even saying I'm a spiritual master. I'm just someone who loves Krishna consciousness, who loves to chant and dance. That's just me. Okay. This desire to inquire from the spiritual master is for essential to the progressive path. Okay, you got to follow the spiritual master. Now, Srila Prabhupada says, like, let's say you don't have a spiritual master, right? I'm not initiated. I never got initiated because I don't know, I never connected with any spiritual master. So, what do you do? Like, if you don't have a spiritual master, if you're like me, you don't have a spiritual master, then, well, Srila Prabhupada says, like reading his books is just as good as like reading his books is initiation. Okay, he said there's a quote like that. Like you could accept it or not, but so if you don't have a spiritual master, just follow Srila Prabhupada in the time being, right? In the meantime, follow Srila Prabhupada. He can be your guru. Okay, that's what I do. I just follow Srila Prabhupada. I'm not like horrific or whatever, but I'm not initiated just because I haven't connected with any spiritual master yet. Maybe I won't. Maybe it won't happen this life. Maybe it'll happen in a different life. Okay, I don't like. I'm patient. But anyways, I don't have a spiritual master official, so I just follow Srila Prabhupada, and it works out for me. I'm spiritually motivated, so I have spiritual inspiration. Isn't that the point, to be spiritually motivated and have spiritual inspiration? This desire to inquire from the spiritual master is an essential factor to the progressive path. This process is technically known as Saddharma Pricha. Text 3, desire to inquire from the spiritual master. Okay, you got to inquire from your spiritual master, whoever that is. Okay, inquiry. Ask your spiritual master questions. Like ask him or her or whatever. Ask them to help you with your spiritual life. Swayambhuva kayak vritya varititam te param vyaya katam chedam udashrak shashi kale prapte kalevaram. O son of Brahma, how did you pass your life after initiation? And how did you attain this body, having quit your old one in due course? Sri Narada Muni in his previous life was just an ordinary maidservant's son. So how he became so perfectly transformed into the spiritual body of eternal life, bliss, knowledge is certainly important. Sri Vyasadeva desired him to disclose the facts for everyone's satisfaction. So it's interesting. This kind of shows you how, like, reincarnation, transmigration of the soul is a real thing, because they're talking about the previous life of Narada Muni, right? So some people are skeptical about, like reincarnation for whatever reason. Maybe they don't like the idea of that they have to be born again because they've experienced so much pain in this life. So the idea of like being born again is like, ugh, or whatever. They just don't believe in it. Okay. But here we talk about like how Sri Narada Muni, had a previous life. Okay. So yeah. So Sri Vyasadeva desired him to disclose the facts for everyone's satisfaction. Okay. Prakalpa Vishayam Itam Smritim Te Muni Satama Na Yesha Vyavadat Kala Esha Sarva Narakriti. O great sage, time annihilates everything in due course. So how is it that this subject matter, which happened prior to this day of Brahma, is still fresh in your memory, undisturbed by time? A spirit is not annihilated even after the annihilation of the material body. So also, spiritual consciousness is not annihilated. Sri Narada developed this spiritual consciousness even when he had his material body in the previous kalpa. So as a spirit is not annihilated even after the annihilation of the material body. So also spiritual consciousness is not annihilated. So whatever consciousness you develop, it's yours. So that's why you got to focus on developing your Krishna consciousness, even if it's a little bit every day. Just like all I do is I read every day and I chant every day. That's what I do. Consistency. Consciousness of the material body means spiritual consciousness expressed through the medium of a material body. The consciousness is inferior. Consciousness of the material body means spiritual consciousness expressed through the medium of a material body. Okay. This consciousness is inferior, destructible, and perverted, but super consciousness of the supramind in the spiritual plane is as good as the spirit soul and is never annihilated. That's deep. Okay, so super consciousness is never annihilated. Is he meaning to God consciousness? Okay. Super consciousness. Super mind in the spiritual plane is as good as the spirit soul. It's never annihilated. I mean, that's deep stuff. I mean, that's a little over my head. I'm not going to lie. Super consciousness of the supra mind in the spiritual plane is as good as the spirit soul and is never annihilated. Okay. So whatever consciousness related to like Krishna consciousness is never annihilated. And the super consciousness, God, if that's what they're referring to, because it's not super clear. But if the super consciousness, if you're referring to God, well, God is never annihilated. And so God is in your heart. So he can, like, whatever consciousness you develop, he can enlighten that. Or if he wants, he can remove it. It's God. He's in control, right? So do your best and God will do the rest. Hare Krishna. That's it. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jaya Gauranitai, Jaya Krishna Balaram, Jaya Radha Shama Sundar, Jaya Shri Vrindavan Dham, Jaya Tulsi Maharani, Jaya Giri Govardhan, Jaya Yamuna Devi, Jaya Shri Vrindavan Dham. Prabhupada, Prabhupada, Jaya Srila Prabhupada, Itagora Haribo, 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 Itagora Haribo, Itagora Premanandi Haribo, Jaya Shri Radhe Sham. Hare Krishna. Have a great day. God bless. Peace, world peace.